I had one time too many this morning, so I didn't get to stop for my coffee, but I will muddle through. There are two things I'd like to say before we even start anything. That up here, I brought the poinsettia sales up here. This is the last week. I want to order some of those, and that I enjoyed very, very much our officer meeting last night. We got through a couple of things. There'll be announcements at the end of the meeting. So please stay through the whole meeting and stay for that. We're going to start the day off with our inspiration by a Zoom member this morning, Margot. She's on Zoom.
Good morning. I have, since we're talking about Thanksgiving, an Apache blessing. May the sun bring you new energy by day. May the moon softly restore you by night. May the rain wash away your worries. May the breeze blow new strength into your being. And may you walk gently through the world and know its beauty all the days of your life.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Everyone, please stand. And our headgear is off, even online. Excellent. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So we have a good program today. I don't want to hold it up in any way. And so with that, no longer on Zoom behind a sunset, but here in person this morning, AM Lockport, Phil Russell.
There, how's that?
All the way.
It's all the way.
Okay, talk.
I am speaking now. How's that?
Nope.
Right, all the way the other way. How's that?
There we go.
There we go. Technology. It's a blessing and it's a curse, especially when you're over 12. Good morning, and happy Thanksgiving. First thing I'm going to start off with is a toast. To all of our friends and relatives, that they enjoy this coming Thanksgiving with great thanks.
Cheers.
Very good. Now, as Toastmaster, we did the inspiration. Now, I spoke with Margot last night. And because of the miracle of technology, which again, to me, is a curse and a blessing, because she wasn't going to be able to make it because of things going on. I drove up, and as we get older, sometimes your eyes get a little bit, and it's very dark out, wet, but you drive slow enough and you start early enough, you can make it. That's the good thing. Now we have a word master. Is he on Zoom? Mark Campos? Is Mark around?
I'm here.
Ah, he is here. Mark, could you please give us the word of the day, please?
I would be happy to. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Good morning. Given the holiday theme and given that I'm an all-around swell guy, I've decided that I'm going to serve up a nice fat softball for you to hit. This is not a difficult word. It should not be a stretch for you at all. The word today, given the theme, is pilgrim. And there are numerous definitions for pilgrim. It's a noun, a person who journeys, especially a long distance, to some sacred place as an act of religious devotion, a traveler or wanderer, especially in a foreign place, an original settler in a region, or with a capital letter, one of the band of Puritans who founded the colony of Plymouth, Mass. In 1620, or lastly, a newcomer to a region or place, especially to the Western US. Variations of the word will be accepted, such as pilgrimage, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, thank you. My favorite actor, that was one of his favorite lines. Pilgrim, John Wayne, right? Hey, this technology is something else. I want to say to be thankful for it. The reason being, I went to a Lions district meeting the other day and the speaker was unbelievable. And she talked about the Zoom stuff.
Phil has froze.
They aren't all that big. Like I'm looking at Larry and he's pretty full size when we have the picture up. So that's all good things. So we're thankful for all of that. So pilgrims, let's move on to our master, Mr. David Lakata. David.
I'll let it go this time, Phil. Nice to see you.
Good morning.
In the flesh, guys.
That's right.
Gosh darn it. So good in the flesh. We know.
Hold the button in. Somebody turn the mic on. Just hold it in until it,
Is that better? No. What do I gotta do?
hold it until you see numbers and things.
Ah, there it is.
How's this? I'm terribly sorry. I wish to apologize to the Zoom audience. I have figured out the technology, but probably a lot of my bad Luddite habits were magnified by standing next to Phil. I probably caught some from him. We as Toastmasters know that if we go if we have pauses that are not pregnant but too long, it makes us sound unsure of ourselves. And when we are speaking, we are teaching, or we are selling, we don't want to sound unsure of ourselves. So I will be keeping track of those ahs and ums and pauses that are too long. But in honor of my dear friend Edna, what I have to add today, and it's not so, and we're not guilty of it here, but God help you if we do it here. I have heard so many people that have to speak all the time on television, newsmakers, movers and shakers, politicians, they're saying ta instead of two. So please watch that. Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster, and watch your, all right, the lights are on, Phil.
I'm good.
Set it on the phone.
Just set it right there.
Don't turn it off.
Don't turn it on. All right. Dave, you're younger than I am. You should have better use of technology than I do.
Yeah, I think a year and a half.
Like I said, we got anything less than 12, we're in trouble.
Feel like I'm watching those two Muppet people.
Now our grammarian. Oh, this is where I always torture the English language. The Queen would hate me. But let's introduce our grammarian, Anne Marie Lenhart. Anne Marie, are you there? Oh, there she is.
Yes, good morning, everybody. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters and any pilgrims that may be hiding out there in the audience. I'm going to be listening for the quality of your language, both exceptional uses of the English language and non-exceptional uses, and I'll be reporting at the end of the meeting. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Anne Marie. Now we can move on to the quote master. Is Dr. Gerald Stevens hanging around someplace?
I am here. I am on video, but
We don't.
I'm not really on video. I'm online. Either my device is on video work. I have to figure out some settings, I think. But I am here for all my fellow pilgrims with a few quotes. Showing gratitude is one of the simplest yet most powerful things humans can do for each other. Randy Pausch. I feel like Thanksgiving is a time to show gratitude, so I decided to do a few Thanksgiving gratitude quotes. He who thanks but with the lips thanks but in part. The true Thanksgiving comes from the heart. J.A. Shedd. And one last one for you. Give thanks not just on Thanksgiving, but every day of your life. Appreciate and never take for granted all you have. Rebecca Lowen. That's what I have, Mr. Toastmaster. Back to you.
Thank you, Dr. Gerald Stevens. Now, I'm looking for a jester, and I see him right over there. Mr. Len Thornton, the guy that makes this all possible. Amazing how much technology he does.
Morning, Toastmasters. Just a few short jokes for you today. Thanksgiving's the theme, is it not?
That's right.
Okay, I'll make my pilgrimage toward that end of the humor spectrum. What's the key to a good Thanksgiving dinner? The turkey.
Oh, love it.
Why did the farmer separate the chickens and the turkeys? He suspected foul play. And why didn't the turkey eat anything at dinner? He was stuffed. Very good, Tracy. Mr. Toastmaster, back to you.
Thank you, thank you. Well, those are good ones. All right, we're gonna move on now. We have a timer. Jen Zapla. This is gonna be interesting. Jen.
Yes, I will be your timer
on
today.
the
So
Screen.
I'm hoping if there is anyone in person who would like to do the in-person timing like they're welcome to. Otherwise, speakers, you will have to just check in with your Zoom audience and you will see when you've reached your minimum time, the green background. So for table topics, that is 1.5 minutes in this club. For evaluations, 2 minutes, and speeches generally 5 to 7, unless you tell me otherwise. You'll see the yellow light at your mid mark and the red light when it is time for you to wrap up. For table topics, 2 minutes, evaluations 3 minutes, and again, speeches at 7, and there will be a 30-second buffer on either end of the speeches and evaluations and a 15-second buffer for table topics. So as you make your timing pilgrimage today, be sure that you come within those timeframes. Thank you.
Good, Madam Timer. All right. Now we have a tech and gesture master, Michael Florio. Michael. Whoops.
Hold it until the lights come on.
See some digits.
There we go.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Well, this is not an easy room, technically. It's tough now. It was tough before and it's still tough. You've got to watch the camera, you've got to watch the light down here, you've got to be looking over at the screen. So I will be watching the technical end, and thank you very much, Len. I watched him put it all together in a half hour and I still can't really understand exactly what he did, but anyway. And then I'll be watching for gestures, which with a microphone in your hand is not very easy either. So I will be looking for the good and the bad. Thank you very much, pilgrims.
Thank you very much, Mike. Make sure that stays on. Tech and gesture master, quiz master, our good friend Jacqueline Kenny. Jackie.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. I will be listening carefully, taking notes about things that are said and facts and figures, and I hope all of you pilgrims will give me the right answers at the end. Thank you.
There. We will figure this out without a problem. No question about it. Now, well, let's move on to the fun part. Marty Johnson, are you ready? He has his thumb up. He's ready to do table topics. Let's welcome Martin Johnston. Come on up here, Marty.
Thank you, Phil, fellow Toastmasters. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Along with the theme of Thanksgiving, I have a few questions for all the pilgrims in the audience. I'd like to start with Carol Ann. Carol Ann, I love Thanksgiving weekend because Carol Ann. Remember to use the word pilgrim.
Yeah.
I love Thanksgiving because it means Florida. Almost every year, while our three daughters were growing up, Thanksgiving found us in Florida at Disney World, at Cypress Gardens, Wikiwacky Springs, and Homosassa Springs. And I've been to Disney more times than I needed to go. I know when I was working at the hospital, a few times something was going on in November and they were going to ask me about donating for something. In fact, one of my good friends actually got married during those 2 weeks we were gone. So I missed that. And they'd say, "Where's Carol?" Somebody said, "November, Florida." Actually, this Thanksgiving, we hope to spend with our friends in the villages. We tried to start a tradition of doing Thanksgiving together. However, COVID kicked in, so 2 years we haven't visited. And we have had some car issues this year. The car we wanted to take is in the shop, so we were thinking of renting, but I think we're gonna try with our other car. Actually, my two of our three daughters are headed for Disney tonight, and they almost consider it a sacred place, but since they've been there so many times, I don't think they'd be called pilgrims.
Thank you, Carol Ann. Next, I'd like to call on our club president, Thomas. Your most favorite Thanksgiving dish and why? I know when we go to different relatives or family members' homes, there may be 2 tables, 3 tables, 4 tables spread of all different kinds of delicious foods and desserts. What is your most favorite dish, Thomas, and why? Remember to use the word pilgrim. Thomas.
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. What a wonderful question. What is my favorite food? Well, from my profile, you can probably tell I love food. And I've said before, never trust a skinny cook. So there are 2 things that I would say are tied at Thanksgiving for my favorite food. My first is my niece's apple pie. She makes everything from scratch. So the pie crust itself, flour, sugar, baking soda. She actually does she doesn't go out and buy a pie crust. She makes the pie crust. The apples come from a tree in her yard. She brings them in and, peels them. That's the word I was looking for. Takes the skin off. No one likes the apple skin, even though that's where all the vitamins are. The second one requires a little bit of a pilgrimage to Ohio, which is where the croissant rolls, also homemade from scratch ingredients, are made by my sister-in-law, my brother's wife, and she can just about, I don't know, they're perfect. All right. I'm trying to think of like, she deserves an award for those things because they are like, they go faster than cookies would. Like Christmas cookies, when you put Christmas cookies out, they disappear. These things, she says, in her house disappear, so she has to freeze them. You know, she makes them a couple days before and then freezes them. So that's basically a tie. It's up to you, the audience, to decide which you would like to try more. But apple pie and the croissants were my two favorite foods at Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Thomas. Looking at our virtual audience, I see we have a few people here, and I see, is there a Chris? Chris. Is Chris on there? You said
I'm here, Marty.
Chris is our guest. Chris, during the course of our lives, I'm sure, and it's probably happened to you at some point, someone stepped next to you and they put their hand on your shoulder and they said, now, Chris, and they may have given you some advice. What is the best advice you've received and that you're grateful for? And remember to use the word pilgrim. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Marty, Mr. Table Topics Master. Thinking of listening to Carol Ann's talk this morning, I'm reminded of the recent pilgrimage myself and my family made down to Disney World, and just wanted to say I'm thankful that we safely returned on the ride up. We drove down and drove straight through on the way back, and surviving with my 3 children in the back seat was nothing short of a miracle. It made the pilgrim's journey to Plymouth Rock look like, you know, a walk in the park. So my piece of great advice comes from my wife, and it's not offered just once, but frequently, and is timely with the holiday here. She is my rock in many ways, but is frequently reminding me of the things that I should be grateful for, and I am, and is that great perspective when I need it, when things are getting challenging on a surface level, whether it be work or just a long day. The kids giving me a hard time as they enjoy doing, but I have a tremendous amount to be thankful for. Good health for myself, my family, my extended family, my friends, being able to have an employer who's been flexible with me with my situation here over the pandemic, and being able to work remotely and comfortably in the safety of my own home to provide for my children when they were not able to go to school in person. And thinking of Thanksgiving, you know, certainly I'm thankful for the opportunity to have a great dinner, see family and friends, hopefully see a Bills win this coming week. I'm just reminded of the things that really make my life enjoyable and worth reflecting on at this holiday. And again, probably most thankful for my wife, who's always there to remind me that I have plenty to be thankful for. Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Chris. At this point, I'd like to call for a timers report. Jen?
Yes, all 3 of our contestants did make time today. Carol Ann came in at 2:15, so just in time with the buffer. Thomas at 1:56 and Chris at 2:11. So again with the buffer, but everyone made it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. And our word master, Mark.
Mr. Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, the word is doing very well today, but within Table Topics, Carol Ann used it, pulled it out of the fire right at the last second. Thomas used it once and Chris used it twice. Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Mark. At this point, you can mark your ballots in person, and there will be a vote for our remote friends here today. And I'm going to turn control of the meeting back over to our Toastmaster, Phil Russell.
Thank you, Marty. Thank you very much. Thank you. Good job, Marty. Good job. Now, don't forget to cast your vote. Now, I was handed a note. Chris is a guest, but not for much longer. I understand, Chris, you're going to be joining our group.
That is the plan here.
Right. Tom, I have another vote over here. So go right ahead. Thank you. Now, we're going to move to the speaking part. And our first speaker is me. Nobody else stepped forward. So I said, okay, I'm working on a new path. My evaluator will describe what I'm doing. And I see she's all tied up over there. Let's introduce my evaluator, Katie Banks. Kate, go for it. More or oh, I've known her so long for Banks. What the heck? Get over there.
I haven't updated what's going on. Does it turn itself off maybe?
Maybe.
I see.
Hold it until you see lights.
I heard Sylvia say that. There we go.
Test, test. Oh, no, there we go. Okay, back and forth. I haven't updated my name on TI either, so it's okay. I'm somewhere in limbo. But on to Phil. I also offered to speak, but he is clipping right along on pathways. And so I'm thrilled instead to be his evaluator. And the project is addresses the skills to give and receive feedback. And the purpose is to practice applying feedback and serve as a speech evaluator during a club meeting later. So in any case, the first of 3 speeches on evaluation and feedback. This is a speech of Phil's choice. So he will later review the second speech and incorporate the feedback received. He may repeat this speech and reflect on the feedback and might write a new speech reflecting upon the first speech. And the third speech will be the actual evaluation. I am thrilled to present Mr. Phil Russell, the 3-legged stool. The 3-legged stool, Mr. Phil Russell.
What is a 3-legged stool? Do you know what a 3-legged stool is? Do you know? You know what a 3-legged stool is? Oh, good. That's important. You first have to know something before I can go on. I can't go on until you know what it is. Now, what happens if one of those legs is missing or broken? Firewood, fall, it's unstable. Madam Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, our guest and soon to be member, Chris. A missing or broken leg causes instability. Unstable with only 2 legs, right? You try to sit on it, you're going to fall. It just doesn't work. 1 leg doesn't work. Think about this. Now, I want you to think about this a little bit different way. That's what I want you to do. I want you to think about life balance. Life balance as a 3-legged stool. Individuality, your individual balance and stability. There's 3 legs. I have 3 legs. I'm going to use 3 legs, okay? 3 legs. You can use your own word to insert there, or you can own criteria. I don't care. Doesn't matter. I just want you to think about it. You can substitute your words or criteria anytime. Any one of these out of balance is going to cause instability. I have the 3 legs that I'm going to talk about: physical, mental, and social. Physical, mental, social. Any one of these out of balance, any one of them, is going to cause a great deal of instability. Let's now take a look at each leg individually. Out of the three, let's talk about physical, your health. How's your health? Do you get exercise? Keep your health good? How about your diet? How's your diet? Do you eat good food? Or do you just go out and get junk food all the time? How about your habits? Smoking? That's always a big one. I've quit about 150 times and stay off of it. I love cigars though. And how about, smoking and drinking and all of that? Now, they say that sometimes a couple of drinks a day is not bad for you. So that's what we look at. I look at that. That's my deal. How about mental? Mental. How is your workplace? How's your family life? What's your stress like? How is the stress in the family or the workplace? I see all these little squares here. How many of these things are stressful? Looking into little squares of people. It's stress. That's mental. All up here. All this mental stress. Let's talk about social. You have friends? Acquaintances? We might in our life have very, very close friends, 1, 2, if you're lucky, 3. But you have a lot of other people that are acquaintances and they're friendly to you, and that's important. A good friendship and a way to be able to communicate. And, one of my best friends forever and ever, and Jackie's best friend, no longer with us, but we have the memories. And it was important to all of us to have that. And what about your activities? Where do you go? You go to the Y? Do you come here to Toastmasters as part of your activity? What organizations do you belong to? I think I belong to too many. The Lions, my professional organizations, all of those. They're important because I know a lot of people and I'm out there a lot. And it takes a lot of time. For instance, why am I here in person for the first time since this pandemic shut us all down? Because I was able to arrange it to make sure, because I've been doing most of it by Zoom. And I am thankful for Zoom because when I can't make it here, I'm there. I'm one of these little squares. That's it. See Jen over here? Jennifer Zappa, you saw how small she is? But we're here. We're all here. And that's great. Now, out of balance causes instability in your life balance. Way too much of one will throw it out of balance, cause instability. Too little of one will throw everything out of whack too. Any one of those things out of balance throws it out. Okay, now you know what a three-legged stool is. How is your three-legged stool? How is it? Is one broken or missing? How is your stability? Madam Evaluator. You're up here. Oh, no, I have to introduce the next person.
Thank you, I guess.
No, I got all discombobulated. I'm sorry, I got discombobulated because I lost myself in the speech. I have another speaker coming up here and I have to get off get this headset off because I have a second evaluator I have to bring up. Oh, sometimes it's terrible. Sometimes, I'll tell you what. But where's Steve? I see Steve right there. Stephen is the evaluator of our next speaker, who is going to be, number 2, will be Nancy Ferry, correct? So I am going to have Stephen introduce Nancy Ferry. Nancy, you want to come up here, and I'm going to change headsets.
Am I up here? I guess. I'm afraid I don't know much of anything about what Nancy's going to speak about today. I don't know the title. I don't know, what path she's on or any of this, so I will evaluate her. And I will leave it to you, Phil, to introduce her speech.
My speech is on gratitude. Gratitude.
All right.
It's not from a past, it's just a speech today, relevant to the subject.
There. Up and running. Now, Nancy is going to give a speech, not in a path. It's a normal speech that she's going to give 5 to 7 minutes. She's going to talk about it. It's on
Gratitude.
gratitude. Nancy Ferry, gratitude.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Oh, Toastmasters, I hate Christmas songs before the Monday after Thanksgiving. Now, don't think I'm a Scrooge. I love Christmas. I love Christmas music. I love holiday lights. But why do we like to skip over Thanksgiving? Thanksgiving is one day. Christmas is like all year, pretty much. We start in the summer, and we start talking about what we're going to get for people for Christmas. We pick up little things at festivals. We get so consumed about Christmas at times. I'm not saying individuals are all like this. I'm just saying, as a culture and as a society, we have a problem with the kind of quietness that's required to be grateful. Gratitude doesn't mean we always have to be happy and joyful and hopping up and down, but it's a state of mind. Being grateful, we have one day reminder all year long to be grateful. Just one day. We have so many other days in the calendar. How many times are we truly grateful? And I think there are a lot of people who take Thanksgiving and create it into a chaos time. I know a lot of women or families who are cooking for weeks and freezing and preparing, and everybody's stressed when they finally get there and then consume. But how much time do we stop and spend being really, really grateful? When I said that gratitude isn't always about being happy and jumping up and down, there are plenty of things in life that happen every single day. Some of them don't feel like things we want to be grateful for. I'm thinking about this pandemic that we are still on the curve of, and I don't know when the curve stops, if there's ever, but there's a lot of things I can't control, and that's part of my gratitude, is being aware of that there are things I cannot control. When I think about all of the struggles that we've gone through, having to meet in Zoom, having to cancel things that have been very important to us, people we know that have been sick, we may have been sick ourselves, the vaccinations, all of the work back and forth, being remote and not remote, and going in and being scared, all of those kind of things can also bring us to a place of gratitude. When we look at things that aren't going well in our lives, that don't feel right, when we go to a place of gratitude, saying, thank you that I had this time to reflect. Thank you that I am breathing today. We used to take that for granted. I don't anymore. Every day I take for a deep breath of gratitude when I wake up and when I go to bed. There are times when things are just off the wall and we're angry and we're frustrated, whatever. Those are times to stop and be grateful. It's a fact that our mind cannot hold anger and gratitude at the same time. I don't know what makes you angry or feel angry. A lot of people say traffic, crazy drivers, that kind of thing can make people angry. I invite you to take the 5-finger gratitude. You stop, think of 5 things. Everybody has, well, not everybody has 5 fingers, but most of us have fingers. We don't use your toes. Use just the number 5. Take your name. Be grateful for something of every letter in your name. And if it really gets stressful, go through the alphabet and go through the alphabet again if you need to. Think of things that you are grateful for that start with A, and just go through until you find yourself in a different space. We don't need to always accept the things that happen in our lives. They happen. They're out here, they happen. We have a choice how we respond to each of those things. And if you respond with something that you're grateful for, it's raining outside, but look at those crunchy yellow leaves that are falling off the trees. Find one thing that you can be grateful for. You'll find, I think, that Thanksgiving can be more than just a one-day event. I love the fall, I love the leaves, and I get so annoyed, like I said, when they're just kind of skimmed over. I've been working on my gratitude pumpkin. I've been putting little things down over each day, just putting a thing down during November. Some of them ended up having other people that came over, added things. Wait a minute, I wanted to add that. And I left the bottom open for now because there's always room for more gratitude. And one of the things that I am very grateful for is Toastmasters. And I'm lighting a light to remind me of how grateful I am for the opportunity to be in such a great club, to meet new friends, and to have something that is social and a place where I learn and grow, and other people give me honest feedback. Mr. Toastmaster?
We only left half of it.
That has to go to Tracy.
That's why I was split between giving it to you. No, the cameras are here.
There's the camera.
Don't look at the TV. You gotta look at the camera.
It's so tricky. You want to look at the TV to see who's on.
Keeps going on. Battery power of what?
Just speak loudly. They'll hear you.
How's that?
Gotta hold it right to your mouth, Phil.
Yeah, it's on. Yeah, oh, there it is. Good. All right. Thank you, Nancy. Now, while I was.
Closer. It's fine.
Right, you gotta hold it right there, pal.
The numbers are gone.
Again?
Yeah, the numbers are gone. The numbers are gone.
It is here. Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Okay, welcome back, Carter. No, it's not working. Thank you, Nancy. Now that we have this going on, I'm going to hold my thumb on.
It's working.
It's working.
Yeah.
Good. I'm holding my thumb on the button. That's why. So when I got back here, I think I goofed everything up on you. Sorry about that. Take a few moments to write about
Speaker feedback.
Speaker feedback.
Speak up, they can hear you.
You can hear me? All right, I'll speak loud. I'm used to that. I can, thank you, Letty. Now, we have our next evaluator who's going to introduce our next speaker. Our third evaluator is from Zoom. Beth, thanks.
Good morning, Phil and fellow Toastmasters. I will be evaluating Tracy Farrell this morning. And Tracy is giving a speech. It's the second speech in the Persuasive Speaking Manual. The speech is 5 to 7 minutes long, and the title is Ladies of the Manor. This will be, I believe, her first, and I will be doing her second some other point. So Tracy Farrell, Ladies of the Manor.
Tracy Farrell. Now, Tracy, little suggestion. I put it on top of my head because it comes around my mouth better.
You know what? I tried that. No.
Well, Tracy, Ladies of the Manor, Tracy Farrell.
Thank you, fellow Toastmasters. It was 1825 when Schubel and Sophia Merritt purchased 205 acres along the shore of Lake Ontario. At that time, Schubel had the dream of establishing an orchard, and he did raise some pretty large orchards, and Sophia raised 3 fine children. She had Louis, Phoebe, and Cordelia. After a while, they became established, built a huge manor, and see if Sophia said, my work is done. She passed away in the front study, 3 o'clock on a Thursday afternoon. At that time, a year later, Louis was attending the University of Rochester. He came home for Thanksgiving vacation, and him and his father, Schubel, decided to go out hunting. Upon their return, Schubel went to the front study, was cleaning his guns, and Louis, being the son that he was, left his father to the work, went upstairs to check his mail. In his mail was a letter from the University of Rochester where he was attending. And what did it say? It said that his tuition had been raised to $12 a semester. He was mortified. What was he going to do? How was he going to attend the next semester? He ran down the front stairs, found his father, flew open the French doors, startled Schubel to such a point, who was cleaning those guns, discharged the gun, and killed Louis. It was 3 o'clock on a Thursday afternoon. The following year, Merritt was sitting in his front study, contemplating his life. It was heartbreaking that his son had died. Or there's a slight discrepancy. Was it the ghost of his wife, who was so upset that his son had died that she killed him? Either way, Schubel died in the front study at 3 o'clock on a Thursday afternoon. This left Phoebe and Cordelia to inherit the manor. Now, Cordelia was somewhat of a spinster, so she had no interest in the manor. But Phoebe was married to Lucia Adams. And so Phoebe and Lucia bought out Cordelia's portion, and the Adams family moved in to the manor. They went on and established and grew the orchards, but after a while they decided to move on. And this was 1874. And at this time, Dr. Ring, who was living in Buffalo, he was a psychiatrist, the head psychiatrist at the Buffalo Psychiatric Ward, who was married to Hannah. Now,
Dr. Ring had a dream of becoming a farmer. And Hannah, who would have said, what do you mean you want to become a farmer? You don't know anything about farming. You're a doctor. But instead she said, okay. And you know why? Because 2 doors down in their house in Buffalo, they lived next to her father, the good Reverend Plum, who was married to Estelle Dunby. Now, Estelle was a beautiful lady. However, she was also a gold digger. And most importantly, she was 2 years younger than Hannah. So Hannah and Dr. Ring made the pilgrimage to the country to establish their homestead. And they did quite well, utilizing the University of Cornell to help them in that. However, not long after, Hannah, on a Thursday afternoon at 3 o'clock, passed away in the manor. This left the good Dr. Ring all by himself in the manor. How was he going to manage? Well, his mother-in-law had a plan. She had a younger sister, the beautiful Florella, who was reputed to have managed the Pan American Exposition in Buffalo. Maybe, maybe not. But if she could do that, she could certainly manage this manor. And if she was going to do that, well, you know what, Dr. Ring, I can help you out too. And if she can help him out, it would be a shame if something happened to him and nothing was left. She was a pauper. So, being the cunning woman that she was, she managed to get Dr. Ring to change his will. And of course, being a gentleman, he said, okay, I'll do that. And wouldn't you know, a month later, Dr. Ring passed away at 3 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon. I don't know why the story changed, but it was a Sunday afternoon. This left poor Florella in the manor by herself. In the meantime, Estelle's husband had also passed away, and she decided to come and help her good sister. It was sort of like the Desperate Housewives of 1907. 2 beautiful women, not a lot of brains. So Estelle eventually took up with the next door neighbor, the caretaker of the manor. In the meantime, Florella had passed away Thursday afternoon at 3 o'clock. It wasn't long after that the caretaker passed away Thursday afternoon at 3 o'clock. At this, Estelle was by herself in the manor. It went downhill a little bit, and eventually in 1954, the Sisters of St. Joseph had purchased the manor. And since then, they put on the front porch with the 100 windows. The lights shone through, and there has not been a death in the manor since then. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you much. Tracy, take a moment. Take a moment and write down your thoughts on what Tracy has just done. Any notes for that? Yes, but before I'm going to do that, I have been a little bit remiss. I got a call. Was it yesterday? From Sylvia. Never in my Toastmastering career, being Toastmaster, have I gotten a call from my evaluator. My general evaluator, usually regular evaluators. And I thought that was interesting because we spoke for a few minutes, and it helps out when the general evaluator calls the Toastmaster, because the Toastmaster is responsible for running this meeting, as awkward as it sometimes can be. But I really want to thank Sylvia for calling. And now I want a timers report. Where's our timer?
I'm
No.
here. I am here, Phil, and all three of our contestants qualified. You came in at 6:41, Nancy at 6:27, and Tracy at 6:52. So everyone within the time.
All right. Very good. Thank you. Now I want you to take a ballot. Rip it off, put a name on there. And Tom, our president, will come around and collect those ballots for our speakers. As I get used to this technology. Okay. Now it's time to get our three evaluators up to evaluate our speakers. Let's start off with my evaluator, Kate Orr. Got that right.
Or Banks.
Or Banks.
Ha.
I'm from PIU.
Very punny, David. It's only just started. I'm learning all the puns. It's a ORR is my last name now. And oh my goodness, there are a lot of variations on puns. But the focus is on Phil today. Thank you for coming back in person for us and reminding us that we can be Toastmaster and speaker on the same day, although it is tackling a lot. Our club is very large and we don't typically have to share roles like these larger roles, and I appreciate very much as VPE that you jumped in and took that on. I think your toolbox is so full. As a DTM, we know you're coming in and telling us something and sharing something that we will be engaged into, and you gave us that today from your introduction, which was a visualization activity almost, a picture, a three-legged stool from the title, and we all had what we pictured in our mind. The tools that you bring in your toolbox were your volume variety. You were getting softer a lot, which you don't always do. You are very bombastic and very, very engaging with a full audience of probably 1,000 people. The football coach in you comes back. But I loved how you really brought it down to engage us with all the things, the pillars or the legs of our lives that we want to support ourselves. And I thought your humor was fantastic. You always give a personal touch. That is something we can, with which we connect. Your enthusiasm was phenomenal. You don't have to be bombastic to show enthusiasm, and I love that you reminded us of that. I love how smoothly you're easing into being in person, back to meetings. I know you've done it for many years, and so maybe being gone for 1.5 years or more, it's like nothing, and we're rolling right back into it. I love that you handled the microphone issues. Well, I'll hold the button down. I'll make it work. I gave up on the microphone a couple of weeks ago, and I love that you didn't. I love that you just rolled with it. 2 suggestions, maybe 3, but it's nitpicky because you are such a skilled speaker. The first would be as something I pointed out a few minutes ago. The camera location is there, and it's something we have to remember. Although I do have to point out how you mentored all of us early on during Zoom to look at our cameras, look at that little light dot on your screen. You constantly reminded of us making eye contact. And it's challenging when we can't always see our audience's eyes, but we're making eye contact with a light or a camera, and we are connecting with our Zoom audience. Your favorite word of the day today was gonna, by far. Gonna. It's your speech and beyond, so work on that. I think your conclusion could have been clearer. It seemed rather abrupt compared to your introduction, which was so solid. I felt like, I don't think you were short on time, but I couldn't see the light from where I was sitting, so maybe you were. But so I challenge you to watch the recording. Once the recordings are being loaded up again, and you can see that, especially since your goal is to reflect on the evaluation and feedback for the next step and the next step, watch that recording so you can see what you yourself want to improve. I want to say thank you, Phil. I think of you as a pioneer of Zoom and using technology more than a pilgrim in so many ways. I do appreciate you for embracing it, inspiring us all. It's been fantastic. So thank you for coming back in person this week.
Okay, good, perfect. And our handheld is also on. Thanks again, Lenny, for technology. Batteries, that happens. Thank you. Now we have our second evaluator. Evaluating Tracy Farrell, who will be Stephen Smith, right?
He lives down in
He's-
Wilson with you.
Okay, I told you, this thing drives you crazy. But Stephen Smith will be now evaluating Nancy Ferry, right?
Yes.
Okay, I got that right. Finally got it right. All right, take it away, Stephen.
Okay. I was worried for a minute there. You had me evaluating Tracy. Wait a minute. That's not gonna work. But Nancy, a very timely and important message today. And it's one of my common gripes is that Thanksgiving tends to get lost in the shuffle between Halloween, which as many of you know is my favorite holiday, and Christmas, which is most people's favorite holiday. And Thanksgiving just gets kind of lost because merchandisers can't make money off it. They're going on to Christmas for the big push. And that's a shame because as she points out, we're missing a lot by ignoring it. It's a very, very timely message. Now, the first thing I noticed is she went right for the headset, which freed up her hands, which she used very, very effectively to drive home her points. You could hear the passion in her voice for what she was saying. Her hand gestures worked well with that to drive it home. Now, it's hard to gauge the audience reaction here on Zoom, but I can only speak for myself. I was drawn into the speech. I was very interested in what she had to say. She did appear to look right at the camera, so that would, and the audience in front of her as well, so that would maximize the intent of engaging the audience. So while I can't judge it, I'd say she took care of that all right. Now it wasn't a pathway speech, and I don't care. She brought us a very good message. And she did actually have a call to action, which we're always talking about. Near the end of her speech, she said, find one thing you're grateful for. Simple, but very effective. So I like that. She brought the whole speech around to that point. She gave us a very, very timely message. And I thank her very much for bringing it to us today. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Steve. Technology. I guess that's going to come out in my evaluation by the tech, and for our general evaluator, it's going to be. However, we do have a third evaluator before I turn it over to the turn control over to our general evaluator. I didn't do my. Now, Beth Banks is going to be evaluating Tracy Farrell. Did I get that right?
Yes, you did. Yay, Phil!
All right, I got it right. Let's hear from Beth Banks evaluating Tracy Farrell. Beth.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Everyone can hear me, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Tracy, you did some things really, really well. I love the way you used the word. You put that into your speech. Really, it was so smooth. It was very good. Memorizing that story, that was a great job. I know I did work for Margot for a little while, so memorizing the story is a bit challenging. You did a great job there. I like that you were in front of the table. I will say that I'm wondering for our tech, for Len, could we move the table back just a little bit, because there isn't a lot of room in front of the table to be able to face the audience and the camera at the same time. And that was an issue for Tracy, because she was very, very good with the on-site audience, but didn't have the eye contact with the Zoom audience. And maybe that would help us. I'm not sure. Tracy, you're obviously very comfortable with people, very comfortable giving the speech. I would say for what you need to work on is the back to the camera. And I know that that's difficult. How do you face the audience on site and the audience on Zoom? Difficult thing to do. Maybe we can help with that. I did notice one little word. I think the word is supposed to be spinster, not spinister. So just be careful with that when you're giving the speech there. There were a couple times when you held your hands, you looked like this was a training that you had possibly gone through, but it did appear that maybe you were a little nervous. So just be careful of that. And to challenge yourself, I would say make the story a little bit more suspenseful. Use those pauses before you tell them what time and what the day was. Pause a little bit, even if you have to chop off some of the story to reach time, use that suspense in there. Otherwise, very good speech, Tracy. Thank you very much. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you much. I am going to have you, did I get the Trimer's report first, right?
Yes.
Oh, I forget. I've been away from this lectern for so long that I forget everything.
I would love to give a timer's report today, Phil. Now, I just want to qualify that I believe all of our evaluators qualified today. Steve came in at 2:09 and Beth at 2:27. And Kate, I was just feeling your time in my bones. But if this year has been any indication of what time feels like, it could have been too short, it could have been too long, and I have no idea. So I only forgot to time one person today, which is a significant improvement from my 6-person record as timer. So I feel like I've done a great job. Thank you.
I think you have too. We have any faux pas now? We've been talking about this eye contact with these cameras, and when you're doing it on Zoom, looking at the camera, I am used to looking at people, and then I look over here and I see the little boxes. I mentioned that we went to a conference with the Lions. One of our speakers was blind from birth. Now, what happened, I don't know, but completely blind. He came to our Lions Club and we did what we call dinner in the dark, where you learn how to eat. You're blindfolded. Really interesting. I noticed in his presentation that his eye contact, even though he couldn't see, was better than ours because he would move about the room. He had a sense of who he was talking to. It was incredible. And that was amazing. And I noticed that in his speech when he talked about how everything has progressed through his life. Amazing speaker. If ever you get a chance to hear him, I forget his name, it's worth it. I know. I'm over 12, I forget things.
Ray. His name was Ray.
Ray.
Yep.
Ray. What, do you get his last name? Do you remember it?
I want to say Forrest or something like that, but I'd have to look in my minutes.
Right. Amazing. An amazing individual.
Ray Forrest Gump.
Yeah, could be. But he is an amazing speaker. We had great speakers. Now I'm going to turn this control and give the lectern to the person. She will relieve me of my duties. I have a sigh. You can do reports. I'm flustered. I'm done. Sylvia Baptiste. There you go, Sylvia.
Oh.
Oh, here's the.
She's got it.
Yeah.
She printed one.
Nope, hold it until the lights come on.
What's that?
Hold the button until the lights come on.
There it is. There it is.
How's that? Bill, you always keep us laughing. It was a good meeting this morning. I loved it. What to be thankful for Thanksgiving. It's a time of year that we forget. We go right to Christmas, we shopping for food for Thanksgiving. That's a biggie. But it was a good meeting. The meeting began on time. It's hard with hybrid because you have to wait for all the technology to get going, people coming in. So we'll always start a couple minutes, a minute or two after 7. That's not a big deal. He had a toast at the beginning. That was great. Got us all engaged. Used a headset to use the arms freely for the gestures. Love that. Spoke about the ballots, how to use them, give notes to the speakers, encouraged us to do that. That was really good. Really good. That was not proper language, was it? Didn't sound too proper, but anyway, it's morning, not enough of coffee. Little bit of improvement. I loved your evaluator, Kate, talking about watch the video. Even for the Toastmasters to watch the video to see what we're doing, how we could improve each week. I think I'm going to for the general evaluator portion. Our evaluators, Beth, you have the most pleasant voice in the morning. Must be that school teacher in you. But I wanted you to check with Tracy to see if you could hear her. Could you hear her, Beth? Beth?
I'm sorry, I had to unmute there. I could, there were a couple times when the microphone was very crackly, and that's really not Tracy's fault, technology again. But I could hear, I believe I could hear her.
Tracy has a very this does turn off. Tracy has spoke, her voice is very low key. And I don't know if the headset was close enough to your mouth, because there was I had a little bit of difficulty hearing a few things, and I was only sitting a few feet away. Kate, good gestures too, smiled all the time. You're so pleasant too. When you do a good sandwich approach of giving the advice, like I said, I love that, to tell people to watch the video, the recordings. Steve, little bit unprepared at the beginning, I thought, but you did a great job. You rebound really nicely. But you didn't talk about Nancy's props. I like the props. No, I'm done. No, everybody did the sandwich approach. They gave a good suggestion, 1 or 2 suggestions, and then they went back and gave another positive. So now I will start with the report since my Toastmasters said I can. I'll start with the master, David Licata.
Oh, baby. Here we go. Just skip the mic. They can hear you through this camera, like, so
Thank you, Lenny.
just speak up. You're fine.
Thank you. This morning, when I had my first opportunity to speak, to introduce my role in my job, I used my very strict demeanor, and that worked. This is a very thin master's report because everyone did such an excellent job. Normally, we have to scold dear Carol Ann a bit too much because she has improved, but she still has moments. But no ass this morning, Carol Ann. One big fat N though. So you learned a new way to circumvent the ass, but you have to watch that as well. My dear friend and mentor, Phil Russell, he said, oh, darn it, I just did an ah. And thank you, Phil, because you turned yourself in, which was a noble thing. And, oh, and this, like I said, you have to do your job, but sometimes you have to get extreme to do your job. And Katie had two varies, went very, which is not a sin, but it's just a little thing that a bit of housekeeping we can work on. Thank you very much, Madam General Evaluator.
Our next, for Marion, Anne Marie, could you give us your report, please?
Can you hear me?
There.
Yes, good morning again, fellow Toastmasters. It was a very enjoyable meeting. And the quality of language, I would say, was in the exceptional range. A few things. First, some basic mistakes, and I'm not going to single out anybody or embarrass anybody, but I found three trends. One, a lot of drop INGs, and if you look down at the floor, you'll probably notice them all swimming around there. More than 6. A lot of gunnas. That was the key today, was the gunnas, more than 10. And then there were about 7 or 8 So those were sort of intermingled in with the rest of the language. The message today, as people have indicated, it was just wonderful. Gratefulness, thankfulness, starting with Gerald's introduction, and then Nancy Ferry's beautiful speech about gratitude. Words like appreciation, good health, balance, stability. And Nancy also mentioned the struggles of the pandemic, I think, which we can all take to heart. And we can give a lot of stories about that. So everything was embracing and inspiring, just very upbeat. A couple of interesting images in terms of language that stuck with me, really. Chris, I enjoyed the image of your wife is your rock. I kind of picture that as, strength at the core. And then also I love the 3-legged stool, and then Phil relating that to the balance in our life and the feeling of stability. You spent a lot of time in the introduction talking about that, and you described it, and just a wonderful cadence in terms of very slow, and it really hit home. And vocabulary wise, Katie mentioned bombastic, which I thought was a wonderful descriptive term. And then Phil's discombobulated. I'm not sure what that means, but it really hit home in terms of chaos. Otherwise, everybody did very well, and I really enjoyed the meeting. Thank you very much, Madam General Evaluator.
Our next job holder, Tech and Gesture, Mike Florio.
In person.
Now, down on the convention floor, our reporter, Mike Florio.
How's that, Lynn? Perfect. It's my first time ever wearing this. And I did it for a reason, really, because one, I felt like I needed the practice and I wanted to try it, and all the problems we were having with the mic today. But I often wondered, I wondered today why the gesture master and the tech guy are all in one. And now I know. Everybody who used this had that freedom. Phil did a great job. You're very natural. Nancy, I mean, your hand gestures, Steve pointed them out. Sorry, I didn't look at there's really no need to look at this.
Yeah, right. But
you want to see the person's reaction, and that's something that you miss out with the tech. It's that blessing and curse that Phil was talking about at the beginning, is that it's a little bit more difficult to work the room now, and you get those gestures and you get in person, not just a headshot. And it's nothing against anybody who's out there, okay? It's just that you miss all that. You know, Tom was talking about, I knew what you were talking about because I did those apples for my wife. So you did it this way. I don't know. You must have a different machine than me, because my machine is this way to do the apples, and we have this system going. You know. Anyway, I'm very thankful for that, and the apple pie that we make for them. So those were some of the things I really enjoyed. You know, Steve's hand gestures from the bed. I mean, wow, that's pretty cool, Steve. I mean, you know, you're laying down, you're talking about this. And I mean, that was really good. Kate, you know, even though you have the microphone, you still get those hand gestures, and you just have to do it. You have that energy. And, you know, I know we have issues with it, but I think that helps us all because we are headed toward the Zoom world, right? And we have to learn this technology. And that's why I took a couple extra seconds to give it a go and try the old headset on. I think I'm going to use it now. It's not that bad.
Yes.
Thanks, Len. That's it, Mr. Toastmaster. Or General.
Before I end up with Quizmaster, I forgot our word master, Mark Campos. Could you please tell us about the word today? I know we kind of fell off a little bit with Pilgrimage. First day with the team. Mark.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, and I guess we have no guests because we have a new member. As Sylvia pointed out, despite my generosity in giving you an easy word to use today, we fell into that familiar pattern where we came out of the gate so strong. I was so encouraged that everyone would comply and use the word, but once we hit table topics, we fell off a cliff. However, prior to table topics, Phil twice. David, I believe you used it once when you were working with the microphone not being on. I thought I heard it in there. I'll give you credit for it again because I am an all around swell guy. Anne Marie had one, Gerald had one, Len had one, Jen had one, Mike had one, Jackie had one, Marty had three. Beth said that Tracy used the word. I missed it, but by golly, if Beth says it happened, it happened. And Kate, thank you for your late rally in using the word during the evaluation point, but that was it towards the end of the meeting. So happy Thanksgiving, all you pilgrims, Madam General Evaluator.
Jackie, our Quizmaster. She's going to test us right now.
All right, thank you very much. I'm going back to table topics. Does anybody remember who made Thomas's favorite items on the Thanksgiving table?
One was a sister-in-law.
Good.
One
And
was
that
a niece.
required a pilgrimage.
Yes, and the
Ohio.
other one was a niece.
Nice. Yeah.
Or it's
And
food related, I got there.
who did Chris get his best advice from?
His wife.
Good boy, keep listening to me. What does Thanksgiving mean for Carol?
Disney World.
Disney World.
Florida.
How long does Christmas last, in Nancy's opinion?
All year long.
All year long.
And can anybody tell me the names of 5 of the people in Tracy's story?
Well, I can, but it's not, I
They
can, but I
not
can't
you
answer.
and not
Oh, all right.
everybody else.
Shuble. Not-
Good, Jubal and Lewis.
Gold digger.
All right, Sophia, Cordelia, and Phoebe. And I think that's
You
enough.
forgot
of that.
Estelle, the big chick one.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator.
Next is our president. Thomas is going to close our meeting today.
excellent job, Phil. Let's have a round of applause for Phil. Started week. Weaker. Good job. All right. So I took a few notes here to make this flow a little bit better. Perfect. This is exactly where I want to be. So the microphone picks me up. Got a good look at me, whether that's a good thing or not. Sure. All right. So from the officers meeting, January meetings in person will be at the YWCA. Okay, test run trial for 1 month. The Harbor Committee has come out with a survey. Keep your eye out for that one. We're gonna be doing that. We probably have 2 or 3 weeks to answer that and get back to them. We have at least 2 new members, possibly 3. I would like to see more before June. We'd like to try and get some guests here. Everyone here and everyone out there, look for people, especially if it's, since we have a hybrid meeting, they can call in and just attend as a guest. Maybe they'll like it, maybe they'll fall in love with it, like we all did. Okay. Pathways, your progress scheduling, the next schedule will be a little bit of a parent-teacher conference with Katie, with everybody, so that if you're working on a path and you need to give 2 speeches to complete, you'll be given 2 opportunities. If you are not on a path and have no plans to be on one, you may be overlooked if we have the full roster with people that need to do pathway speeches. You'll be open for table topics. I'm not saying you don't get to speak. I'm saying that, there'll be a little bit of preference given. With that, I want to say thank you for everybody. Is there anything from the floor that anyone has, or anyone on Zoom? Going once, going twice?
I do have something I wanted to share quickly.
First, for some reason, in the last week, I have received a couple of pieces of mail. I'm not really sure why my address is suddenly, one is to the immediate past president, and I'm not that person. Maybe Katie had put the wrong address in, but I wanted to make sure that the message from this letter got to us that we have achieved the president's distinguished club designation for 2021 program year. So even though it wasn't supposed to come to me, I'll bring it the next meeting that I come to, so people have it. And I didn't open the one from the office of the Sheriff County of Niagara. I don't know if we're being arrested or subpoenaed, but apparently I got that one too. So I'll bring that one.
They're asking for a donation for one of their programs. The Lions got it. Everybody's getting that letter. They're looking for us to give them money.
Well, that's typical. If it's for jail workers, yes, we need them. Thank you.
That means 2020.
All right, just one quick addition. One of the things that I think was just brought up in regards to pathways speeches throughout the next quarter. One of the things, even if you're not giving a pathway speech, if you're giving a speech that was perhaps from a manual or something from a legacy, there is a part of the pathways, because everyone has signed up who has signed up for a pathway through level 3, level 4. There are tons of electives where you can take that speech and actually apply it, so that when you are doing a speech, such as today, we had a speech that was not a pathway speech, but it can be found somewhere to be used within the pathway, either level 3, level 4, and you could do that and work with our VP of Education, so that you not only would get credit, but also the club for our educational goals and for the things as such. Back to you, Mr. President.
All right.
One more announcement, if we have time. We're running over. Oops. Did we lose the meeting?
Go ahead, Margot.
No, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Yep, I lost the meeting. Thanks to Steve, we are going to have another star show. It is scheduled for 6:30 on Saturday, November 27th, with a cloud, rain, whatever bad weather date of December 4th. So if you need more information, I'm sure Steve can help you out. But if you want to come and watch some stars and It's gonna be a little earlier, obviously, than the ones we did in the summertime. Dress warmly, bring a snack to share. I'll have a little bit of wine, a little bit of beer hanging around. So come and join us.
All right, I'm gonna close it off, even if there are more from the floor. We gotta wrap up the meeting. Our award time. Well, today, none of them were close as far as the votes go, so it was pretty easy. Our best table topics this morning ribbon goes virtually online to Chris. Chris.
This is up to me.
Also virtually online, our evaluators, Beth. Beth is the winner. And- Oh. Yeah, well, it's good. It's like I'm handing it to them, right? Y'all love that, right? Good. All right, and our best speaker, all three speakers are here. So our speaker today was Nancy. Oh, no.
Okay, but you have to draw.
Gotta draw.
The only reason I come here. For $2.
109.
109, that didn't do anything.
All right.
No.
Oh, yeah, he finally showed up and gets some money.
I get all those. So if you don't, you want to do like Phil, you want to put your name on the ticket. That's actually everybody here. Put
Maybe
your
we
name on the
Venmo,
ticket.
set a Venmo for you folks at home.
Yeah.
They could send checks
Monthly.
and we could, you
All
know,
right.
make sure there's a ticket with their name on it every
Exactly.
week.
That's
Sylvia,
true.
what's
So
next on that?
just a reminder, no meeting next week. If you get up on Thanksgiving morning
Right.
and you feel like doing Toastmasters, it's not going to be here for you. I'm sorry. But if you don't have anywhere to spend Thanksgiving, please let me know. Give me a call. I'll gladly have you at my house. All of you are like family. All right.
Yeah, I only have 25 people this year, so there's still lots of room. I'm usually up to 40.
Excellent. And then our next meeting then is going to be on 1/2/2/21. So that's kind of an interesting date, I thought. And it's going to be Beth Banks, and the theme is to be determined. She'll be emailing something out over the next week or so. I'm sure that there's some sort of logarithmic progression or equation for that. That is it. That's all I have. Thank you, everyone, for being here in person. Thank you, Phil, for a wonderful meeting, and everyone for your participation, especially our tech, who did a great job today. Thank you all very much.